All right, well, we are talking about love today, and if you are sad you're here, you're going to be even more sad when you leave. I mean, that's we're just talking about love. We're a loving group, and we have a lot of love to give. And that's one of the things that has become a reality to me the longer that I am in ministry, is that it's no small thing to offer people love. And it's no small thing to offer people an opportunity to be a part of the New Hope family. And that is exactly what we all have, is a family. It's a small church that operates like a family. And we are in the process of going over what our family is all about. We looked at our mission. We said we're married to our mission. No matter what happens, no matter what the tide rises or goes away, and I know we live in Iowa, so that doesn't, nobody knows what a tide is anyway, but it doesn't really matter, what waves come, or it's always the same. You clean with tide. Okay, we'll go with that. That's good. But no matter what happens, we're married to this mission. And what's our mission? Okay, see, this is why we got to go over it, because we're wrong. Okay? Our mission is to go deeper and reach wider. This is what we're married to. No matter what we do, everything has to fall in place to this mission of growing deeper and reaching wider. Okay? And then we talked about our values. Now, I'm going to back up just a second because I didn't know we'd get that wrong. So I want to back up just a second. So here's the way this looks. A vision is what we're talking about today. And let's say that this is our vision. And if I had my stick-it notes, which I should have, but I don't. Let's say that is love God, love others, and serve, which we're going to get to. That's what we're talking about today. That's our vision. Our mission, we would start over here, and this would be our car. The mission is the car that gets us over to our vision. We cannot get there without our mission. There's no other way to go about it. And then our values are the fuel that goes into the car. Okay, so that's the way that this works, is they're our life giver. So our values go into our mission, and our mission drives us towards our vision. I read this week, thinking about vision, of one of the first people to ever walk on the moon. He told his mother when he was 5 years old and did not want to go to sleep, and she walked into the room and he was just gazing up at the moon. Nobody had ever told this kid that they were going to at some point try to walk on the moon. I think this was before the JFK thing. And all of a sudden he told his mom, Mom, someday I'm going to walk on that moon. And sure enough, the kid, how many human beings have done that? Like 12? He's one of the 12 people to walk on the face of the moon. That's a vision. Okay? He saw a vision. This is the preferred picture of the future, walking on the moon. But granted, as a 5-year-old, he had an awful lot of values and mission to accomplish his vision. So here we go. Let's try this again. What's our mission? Okay, very good. And we won't go through all our values. You're more than welcome to look at those. We have 7 values that we pour ourselves into. But what is our clear picture of the future? So let's say we're doing this great. We've got our values. We're hitting on all cylinders. Our mission is going exactly the way we want it to. We're all growing spiritually. We're doing things well. That's how we get to our vision. So what is our vision? What does it look like when everything is hitting on all cylinders? It looks like this. We love God, we love others, and we serve. Our mission came from the Great Commission. Our vision comes from the Great Commandment. Matthew chapter 22. Starting in verse 37. We can start at 34. Hearing that Jesus had silenced the Sadducees, the Pharisees got together with one of them, an expert in the law, and tested him with this question, "Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law?" And Jesus replied, "Love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your soul, and with all of your mind. This is the first and the greatest commandment. Then the second one is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commands. So when everything is working well, when we have everything going well, we're growing deeper, we're reaching wider, what does that look like? It looks like we're fulfilling the great commandment. Loving God with all of our hearts, with all of our souls, with all of our minds is the Matthew account, right? So without diving too deep into that for the sake of time, we've done that in the past and it's great and it's rich, but we're just going to say what that means, every fiber of us. Okay? So every fiber of us is loving God. Kids, does everybody have crayons? Does anybody have crayons of our kids out there? Do you have some crayons? Awesome. Do you have a yellow? Can you show? You know what the color yellow is? You guys show me yellow? Who has yellow? Okay, Danny's got yellow. Okay, awesome. Everybody's got a yellow? Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Since we saved some money this week and got black and white bulletins, what we're going to do is I want you to take your yellow crayon, and since the top ball in our logo is yellow, I want you to go ahead and I want you to color that thing yellow in your bulletin. And then if your parents are willing to let you branch out, go ahead and go color somebody else's yellow. Okay? Because I'm not sure everybody knows how to color quite as good as our kids do. So kids, go ahead and do that. So why is in our logo, why is that top ball yellow? Does anybody have any clue why we would have done that? Why would we make the yellow ball the very top one and have it say, love God? The sun, light. Okay, these are great ideas. I hadn't thought of those. No. That sun, yes. All great ideas. We even thought of maybe the streets of gold in heaven, and God, obviously, heaven's where He's dwelling. He also dwells here. Surely He's with us to the very end of the age. But we thought of that. But here we go. The reason why we have yellow is because what are you supposed to do when a traffic light goes yellow? Speed up. Slow down.
Wait.
Or what? Wait. Caution. That's the word. Caution. We're supposed to proceed with caution. If you have time, you stop. If you don't have time, you go through. But you proceed with caution. You take concerns. You check everything around you, supposedly. I know we all just speed up. I know that. But you guys also know the law, right? That we're supposed to take caution when we see yellow. And so here's why we did this, and this is what it means for New Hope's vision, is what is it for us to take caution? Well, if we're going to love God, I say the thing we have to do is that we have to be very, very cautious on every single day, every single minute of every single day in His position in our life. We have to be cautious every single minute of every single day about His position in our life. We say when we worship that we're surrendering ourselves to God as ultimate, meaning that He's in control and we're not. That defines our worship, right? And so that we have to make sure that our priority list is in line with what we say it is. We would all, well, I don't know all of us, but most of us that have given our lives to Christ and are doing our best to live with Him would say that that's our number one priority in our life. But we have to watch with caution because our actions don't line up with that. And so to love God means that we proceed with caution, making sure that the things in our lives add up to truly giving Him His proper place. And the more we give love towards God, does it grow, Benji?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does. It's a pretty cool thing. He shows himself real. It doesn't mean your life's going to be awesome and full of cherries and gumdrops. None of that stuff. But it does mean that you will understand things that you haven't understood before. That going through the rough spells in life, you will do it with joy. That you can do it with joy. It's a supernatural joy that the world does not make sense of. Okay? So there we go. Love God. So I better pause quickly here. We have 3 balls in our logo. And there's a reason for that, because it does define our vision, obviously. You've got that part figured out. But where do those 3 come from? They come from the dimensions that we see Jesus live his life. We say that Jesus lived life in 3 dimensions. And just a quick little snippet of that, if we go to Luke chapter 6, and just in a few verses, we can see all 3 dimensions that Christ lived his life. Now, he is the example for us, right? So we're supposed to do what he did. By being his disciples, we're supposed to be doing what he did, and this is what it says he did. Chapter 6, Luke chapter 6, starting in verse 12. One of those days, Jesus went out on a mountainside to pray and spent the whole night praying to God. So Jesus spent the whole night in prayer to God, right? Being cautious of making sure that his life lined up with what his heavenly Father had designed him to do. So he was yellow. Okay? He took care of this upward dimension in his life. So that's dimension number 1. We get the other ones following here. When morning came, he called to his disciples. He called them to him and chose 12 of them who he designated as apostles. And then it goes on and it gives their names. And we don't need to give their names. But the second part that he does is he lives within a group of people, right? He selects 12 people that he is going to do life with intimately. He's going to do life differently with these 12 people than he does everybody else. So he's got an upward dimension, and then we would say he has an inward dimension, that this is the family, which is where we get our next ball, which is love others. We love God, we love others. We as a family take care of one another. Now, kids, anybody got a red? Anybody looking? We need a good coyote red. There we go. We got a good coyote red right there. Or Husker red, take your pick, right? Okay, kids. When we see over here and it says love others, go ahead and color that one red. And then I free you up to go and color other people's red. In order to love one another in the family, so our group, this New Hope Community family, in order to love one another differently, why would we color that red? Any ideas? Hearts and blood? Ooh. Have to stop. Yes. The biggest thing that I think we have to do if we're going to be good at loving others, meaning taking care of people in our community and that we love, and making sure that in the high times and the low times that we're just doing life together, I think the biggest thing we have to do is we have to be willing to stop. Because you have a calendar, I have a calendar, you have a calendar, and it gets busy and it gets full. And Miles doesn't have a calendar, and he has nothing to do, but most of us do. Okay? Yeah, he sleeps a lot, and he reads a lot. But no, even in retirement, you're busy. Miles is busy. Jane is crazy busy. I mean, retirement doesn't mean you have nothing to do. We're all busy. Our calendars fill up with great things to do. There's nothing wrong with the things that fill up our calendars. Some of you have to make a living, I hear. I don't know. But we do. We have jobs. We have family things. We have social events. We have sporting events that we want to go to. My kids are in this. Your kids are in that. We're in drama. It's all good. The thing we have to do, if we're going to be intentional about fulfilling our vision of loving one another in our community, is we have to be willing to stop. And take time. Now, it's important to figure out who you're going to be doing life with. And as some of you have walked through life, and I can go back to when we were walking through the flood, I mean, if people didn't stop to help us out, I don't know what we'd have done. I mean, I really don't. Veronica, I still have a cooler of yours in my garage, by the way. Need to get that back to you. But if people hadn't have done that, we'd have been in trouble. I mean, we were in trouble anyway, but it helped us to have people that were willing to stop and to help. And not everything in life is about a flood. Sometimes it's awesome in life because you get to celebrate things, right, Ryan? Have we done some celebrating over the years? We sure have. Scott and Sally, you have anything to celebrate? You're here this morning. Okay, they're also expecting everyone. I mean, that's a pretty cool thing, all right? Yeah. I'm jazzed for you, and here's the cool thing. We have the ups and the downs of life. This is definitely an up, and we get to do that together. So I get to have joy in that. Steve gets to have joy in that. If you guys were just sitting in your house, you robbed me of joy. Think about that for a second. I mean, we laugh and we giggle. But if you choose to be isolated and just do life in your little closet, in your little way, you rob people of joy.
Oh my God.
Right, Samantha? I knew she'd agree with me. That's why I called on her. But it's absolutely true that doing life together in the good times and the bad times, we all think of it as the great support system, and it is. And we support one another, and we take care of one another in rough spells. But it's also in the great times you get to spread that joy out. And that's the beautiful thing. So in our vision, loving others, doing life with one another, that would be the fellowship side of Acts 2:42, which we walked through. They gave themselves the apostles' teaching, the breaking of bread, to the fellowship and to prayer. The fellowship, participating in life with one another. Okay, serving. We continue on in Luke chapter 6. How did Jesus go about it? So he has his inner group then, and then he goes on in 17. He went down with them and stood on a level place. A large crowd of people, of his disciples, were there, and a great number of people from all over Judea, Jerusalem, and from the coast of Tyre and Sidon, who had come to hear him and be healed of their diseases. Those with troubled spirits were cured. And the people all were trying to touch him because power was coming from them, and he was healing them. So serving. Anybody have any idea what color in our logo serving is? Must be green. You got it. Okay, kids, anybody got green? Nice, we got it right there. Perfect. Because as we think about this, the most important thing that seems like for us to be involved and living and active in our community, all right? So we take care of one another, we love one another, we do the fellowship thing, participating in one another's lives, but we're called to be more than that. We're called to take that outside of the family, to be a blessing to our community, as Jesus took to be a blessing to large numbers of people from Judea and Samaria and Jerusalem. We need to take it outside of the walls and outside the community to be a blessing to those outside. And in order to do that, Benji, what do we have to do? What's green mean? We have to go. Doug, what do we have to do? Mary Lee, what do we have to do? Tim and Robin. Okay, so some of those that have gone outside of our country, we just called on their names. Because at some point you just have to go. And the ways that short-term ministries work, short-term missions trip works, is that we go, at some point you just go, and then what happens? They come back, and guess what they're better at? They're better at loving God. They're better at loving others. And guess what they're jazzed up to do? serve. Okay, so this is the way it works. When you take that step of going, everything else increases. Doing something outside of your comfort zone. Go, go, go. Green means go. Do something outside of your comfort zone where you can reach and be a blessing to those outside of our church family. Doesn't give you permission to not be a blessing to those in our church family. Right? That's the love others part. That's important. But we got to get off of start. We have to go. We have to hit green. So, does that sound like the great commandment? The greatest commandment. Love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your soul, and with all of your mind. The second one is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. And you look at the Ten Commandments, and you guys all are aware of this. You've read the Ten Commandments a zillion times probably. But the Ten Commandments are split up. The first 5 deal with your relationship with who? God. The second 5 deal with your relationship with who? Others. Okay, so Jesus says all the law and all the prophets hang on these 2 commands, and that's what he means. If you love God, that's the first 5. You're taking care of that part. If you love others, you love your neighbor as yourself. You're taking care of those around you. You're doing the second 5. All the law and all the prophets hang on these 2 commands. So what's our preferred picture of the future at New Hope? My preferred picture of the future is a place where we would be identifiably different in the way we love God, the way we love one another, and the way that we serve and are a blessing to those outside of our circle. That's our preferred picture of the future. Let's pray.